like to call to order this meeting of the Peabody City Council. Please join me in a moment of silent prayer. Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilors, I'd like to introduce a guest here tonight, Joshua Rizzo. He's going to be the Ward 2 Councilor during Student Government Day and Council President. And Joshua, I'd like you to actually come up here and sit with me, and we'll do a little on-the-job training. Just as a reminder to everybody, Student Government Day is April 14th, correct? Thank you. This meeting is being televised live on Cable Channel 9 and is being taped by the PBD Access TV and is also being recorded by our City Council stenographer. We're going to move directly this evening to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Walsh.
I have no motions tonight, Mr. President.
Councilor Manning Martin.
I do have a few, but boy, you snuck up on me. Let's see. Could I respectfully request the mayor to take a look at, review, and perhaps address the council regarding Peabody's potential in joining the Community Compact Program with the Baker-Polito administration? And for those of you who may not know what the Community Compact is, it is the cities and towns, a lot of them, there were over 100 that had joined before the first of the year, and since then, I know Beverly just joined last week or the week before, and basically you agree to adopt a best practice in the areas of several areas. There would be energy and environment, financial management, housing and economic development, information technology, transportation and citizen safety, or regionalization or shared services. And then you enter into a contract with the state, and they offer technical guidance and assist you in bringing that program to fruition. And it also gives you a leg up or points towards winning grants from the state in that area if you become a community that engages in the Community Compact. So again, there are over 100 cities and towns that are already participating in it. There is money on the table, so I would respectfully request that the mayor take a look at our potential in entering into that agreement. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also would like to ask Police Chief Griffin to take a look at or look into, if he hasn't already, or advise the council any status of any action that he's taken regarding the FY17 budget that included $1.4 million in state aid to local police in their fight against drug traffickers, particularly geared towards gateway cities, which Peabody is a gateway city. So again, there is money on the table to the tune of $1.4 million in state aid to fight drug traffickers. So I would again ask that the Police Chief Griffin apprise us to any action that he's taking to move in that direction to gain any of that money that is on the table. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you. And lastly, and I may ask Councilor/State Rep Walsh to follow up on this. I know it's near and dear to his heart. The also in this year's FY17 budget was 18.6 million for a redesigned quality kindergarten grant program to assist communities in achieving tuition-free full-day kindergarten. And as you all know, Peabody was ahead of the game. Probably, was it 2002, Tom? 2004? Yeah, so it was 2002 or 2000. 2002?
99, 2000.
Yeah, so we were ahead of the game in offering full-day kindergarten at no fee. So if there is money now being proposed to I'm wondering if there's any way we can look into, see if any of that 18.6 million could offset the costs that we've locally been paying for the past 12 to 14 years. So perhaps we'll refer that to Representative Walsh to look into. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin.
Got to put you
Counselor
to
Cha-
work, Tom, right away, right out of the gate.
Councilor Walsh just looked over here and told me how pleased he was that he was sitting next to you now.
He tells me that every other week.
Councilor Charis.
Thank you, Council President. I have just a couple. Asking the Peabody Police to look into the traffic pattern going west on Lowell Street towards at Forest Street, where cars are making a left. There's a line painted, but that those people are turning now more at Jennifer Lane and further on down. I looked, I do not believe I see any signs that says anything directing that single lane up to a certain point. If we can have the police to look at that to see if there's a sign to be posted. Even if you travel on the left-hand side next to the lane and going straight, cars are now going around you on the right-hand side thinking you're turning left, because it's becoming, quite often people are doing that. So if we could look into that with the Peabody Police, it would be great. Also ask the Peabody Police to look.
We'll take that as a single motion.
That would be a single motion, please.
Okay, councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Charis.
Second motion is ask the Peabody Police, again, to look at the intersection of Lowell Street and King Street. This past weekend, we had a very serious accident there where a car was pushed into the gas station and hit the tanker that was filling the tanks, and gas was leaking. If that light needs to be adjusted a little bit so there's more of a waiting time for cars to go through. A car ran the red lights and another car was going. So move on that.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Second, to the Peabody Police to look at adding, if I may, I'm sorry, if I could make this as a co-motion with Councilor McGinn, President of Ward 2, also, as a motion, is to add a stop sign at the intersection of Chestnut and Franklin, heading towards, coming down Franklin, down the hill. Right there is a two-way stop sign, but coming down the hill there is not. I witnessed quite a bit of near misses there in the past week. When you're coming down Franklin, there's really low visibility if cars are parked in that parking lot, and if you're going to go straight across into the development next to Metro Bowl, there's cars there. They think they have a go-ahead, but the cars are coming down quite rapidly down the hill. So to look to possibly adding a stop sign coming down on Franklin.
So we're asking for a recommendation from the police on that.
Yes.
Yep. Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
And lastly, a road repair at the intersection of Augusta and James. It's more than just a pothole. It's quite a bit of lifting up in a hole there, especially with the kids are walking now more of it. The season's changing from the middle school. I don't want someone to trip into that. It's quite bad.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Councilor Charis. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. Under suspension of rules, I'd like to receive item 8A, 8B, and 8C and put them in the aggregate subcommittee.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Under suspension of rules, I'd like to receive item 8G and approve all papers being in order.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you. And I'd like to make a motion that the Department of Public Services remove curbing that is up on the sidewalk. It looks like it's been pushed from the last time we had a little storm at 44 Gooddale Street. It's a pretty large piece of curbing that need to be removed. So move.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
And lastly, I'd like to bring up an issue that I know it's just constantly brought up and bantied about from the mayor's office down to our ward councilors, and I saw some activity on it recently in social media, and that is the fact that we're held monopoly by Verizon, the residents. So in that vein, I'd like to invite PMLP and the commissioners to come and talk about the reasons why or why not we're not looking into having some type of service. I've heard reasons why, but I've never heard it from the PMLP directly about, the possibility of having our own municipal FiOS or some type of cable service, because it is frustrating. We really don't have any choice, and I know the mayor's worked hard on it, and unfortunately Verizon just falls on deaf ears. But as I said, I'd just be curious. I think the citizens of the Peabody would be curious about, the possibilities, and if it's an expense, what type of investment is it, and what's the return on the investment. So I think I'd like to invite them, make a motion to come down and have a presentation from PMLP management and the commissioners to inform us and educate us a little bit on why or why not it could or could not be a possibility. So move.
Councilor, on that motion, would it make sense to refer that, to ask for that to go to a particular committee?
Do you have one in mind?
Public Services, perhaps, or you're looking for that presentation to the full council?
Well, I do. I think it's a citywide issue, so I think it would be appropriate, yes.
Sure. Okay, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Yeah, we'll send it to the committee of the whole.
That's
So it'll
fine.
be a working session that way. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
And lastly, I would like to thank the Department of Public Services. I know they're out there doing some patching, and there's a new gentleman. There's been some change over there, but I'd like to publicly thank Kevin Kosowski for getting his crew out there and taking care of some of the potholes. They took care of a few in the Wood 5 in the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor, just a point of clarification on one of your earlier motions. I was just informed by the clerk that 8B, the annual report, actually needs to go to the committee of the whole. So we'll amend your motion if you don't have any objection to that.
No objections.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Turco.
Mr. President, under suspension of the rules, I'd like to receive a late communication regarding the Litchfield project on Bartholomew Street that I placed on everybody's desk. Also, I'd like to file a motion to send that to the planning board, which I believe it's already been received by the planning board, but I want to make sure that that it gets on the agenda for the planning board for the next meeting.
Councilors, you heard the motion on the late receipt. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Mr. President, I have a motion regarding heavy trucking on Bartholomew Street. Under Section 1927, Bartholomew Street is listed as excluding heavy and commercial vehicles, and I would like to file a motion to have Captain Richards of the Peabody Police Department take the necessary steps to make the ordinance enforceable with the approval of the Mass DOT.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Mr. President, lastly, I'd like a motion to receive item 8H, application of Ava's Bakery,
Schedule a public hearing.
and I would like to schedule a public hearing.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. All set, Councilor Turco?
Mr. President, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Councilor Gravel.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the suspension rule, I'd like to receive communications 7A, B, and C and refer them to subcommittee on finance.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Also on the suspension rules, I'd like to receive 7E, F, and G and refer them to the subcommittee on finance.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
And I'd like to congratulate Tom Walsh for becoming our new state rep. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Councilor Gravel. Councilor Garabedian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, want to congratulate Tom Walsh, and your sign's still in my yard if you want to take it. I'll keep it there for a while. It's no big deal. Yeah. I want to thank the Department of Public Services, and these are the motions that I've been kind of waiting for, and there's a list of like 4 pages. It kind of tells us a status, which really, I mean, for me, it helps, and I'm not sure if everybody else has this, but this is good information. So it tells you where you're at, when you made the motion, and the process it's in. So I want to thank you, yes, and I want to thank the clerk for having all the patience to get this for me. I also would like to set up a municipal safety
On
meeting.
that, just
Yes.
so we're giving credit where credit is due, I believe that was developed by the clerk. So,
Well, thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Colleen, I see your name on this document. Thank you very much.
Point of order. I think it's only in your packet, Michael. Does anyone else have it?
Wow, you're something.
You're special. Maybe you can ask community development for my maps of zoning that I've been asking for 2 years. Maybe you can hook me up.
I'll give that a shot, Councilor Manning.
Thank you very much.
You're asking for a lot, but I'll give it a shot. I also wanted to set up a municipal safety meeting for the next meeting, if we could, since there are some issues that are going on, which what Councilor Charis has some. And a couple of the motions that you made tonight, if we could, maybe we should put them in there. But I think we'd have to make a motion to get them in, wouldn't we? Well, we can do that after, I guess. But
which one specifically? Where he was?
the gas station and Jennifer Lane, was it?
Lowell Street and Forest Street, Lowell Street and King Street in Endicott, and Chestnut and Franklin.
So can he make the motion to put it into subcommittee? We can address that at the next meeting?
Councilor, is that?
So move.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Garabedian. Councilor Gould.
No motions, Mr.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Item 7D. Councilor Walsh.
Motion to receive and approve. You want me to read the names, Mr. President?
Yes, please.
All right, bear with me for 1 minute. I move approval of Kevin McHugh to the Board of Appeals, term to expire 12/31/17, and former Councilor Barry Osborne to the Board of Appeals, alternate member, term to expire 12/31/16. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Roll call.
Councilors Walsh,
Yes.
Manning Martin,
Yes.
Charis,
Yes.
Sasla,
Yes.
Turco,
Yes.
Gravel,
Yes.
Garabedian,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0, 2 absent.
That takes us to item 7H, and I believe we have a presentation related to this. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, councilors. And I just can't believe that Councilor Osborne was willing to go on the ZBA. I still can't get over that. But that's terrific that he's going to help us out. We have some big issues coming in the zoning board. Here tonight, very, very brief presentation regarding FEMA having approved our Hazard Mitigation Plan 2015 update. It's been approved pending adoption by the City Council. We have Sam Cleaves here He's the regional planner for the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, as well as Chris Ty, Veterans and Emergency Management here in the city. Really, this is an important step for us, and the biggest part is that by having this adopted by the City Council and having been approved by FEMA, we are now eligible for FEMA grants, which certainly we've taken advantage of in the past, the City of Peabody, and has helped us out on a number of difficult issues that we've been faced with in the city, and this is an important step to make sure that we're eligible for FEMA grants. Mr. Cleaves is here, and I think he, if it's approved by the council, would like to just say a few words and give a very brief presentation, Mr. President.
Yes, please. Mr. Cleese?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, Mr. President. Sam Cleaves, Metropolitan Area Planning Council. Thanks for making time. The agenda, I was the principal planner on the update, working with the city. And I just wanted to quickly review the planning process, what it's about, and try and answer any questions that you may have. You should all have this handout in front of you. I passed out a copy to each of the councilors when I came in. As the mayor mentioned, this is an update. This is the 2015 update. The primary motivation for the city staying up to date on this is so the city can remain eligible for certain grants from FEMA. And this is really the final step of this. The heavy lifting has been done. The updating has been done by members of the city staff and MEPC. And if we can get this signed off tonight, then you'll be eligible for another 5 years under this updating process through FEMA. So this goes back to federal legislation. The Federal Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 requires the 5-year update cycle. And it's also a very useful plan. It pulls all the city staff together. We look at natural hazards only. It has nothing to do with terrorism or anything like that. We look at flooding, high winds, winter storms, brush fires, earthquakes, that type of issue. And as we know, that's more and more critical these days as we go forward. So in many ways, this works well in helping city staff to communicate and stay informed with each other on some of these key issues. So what is hazard mitigation? We try to reduce or prevent losses of life, injuries, and property following natural hazards by using long-term strategies. That's what this plan is about. This is basically showing FEMA and MEMA, who both review this plan before we get to this spot in signing off on it, that the city is up to speed on their hazard mitigation processes. And then we take a look at what the city is doing now within the plan, and then some of the mitigation action pieces going forward. So if you go to the second page, you can go quickly through how we developed the plan with the city. We do meet regionally once in the beginning with the other neighboring communities, and then put together a local team. Contents of the plan include a critical facilities update, hazard risk assessment, better without these some days, existing mitigation measures, proposed mitigation, and planned maintenance. Critical facilities and sites, basically, this can range everything from nursing homes to schools to well fields, hazardous areas, elderly housing, churches. It's really up to the city to determine what they want to list. Peabody has listed a couple hundred of them, 210. And again, these are updated every 5 years as well. We then drop down to some of the work that MEPC does. What we contribute, we go through the statewide data sources to look at mapping floodplains. And for those of you who have questions on the floodplain map, this update does contain the latest iteration of the FEMA floodplains as it was revised quite recently. We look at, we go through with city staff to get information on hazard areas. And then we look at areas that may show up as potential development. We meet with the planning staff and look at either commercial or residential planned subdivision developments so that we can get a handle on what may be happening going forward with development. Probably most importantly, we meet with people on the ground from the city who can identify local hazard areas of concern. And of course, in Peabody, as in most of the communities around here, that means flooding. We all know that what we've been through, particularly in the last 10 to 15 years, We look at proximity to floodplain, we look at infrastructure that needs updating or improving, replacing. And again, primary purpose of this particular plan is to allow the city to go after these fairly large uncapped federal grants that they now qualify for with the updated plan. So it's valuable in that respect. So just examples, you know, Goldthwaite and Strongwater Brooks downtown, and then within the Crystal Cove neighborhood, some of these areas, you know, of course, have been known for years that they're experiencing flooding. So next part of the plan is really listing out examples of, we list through what the city is now doing for existing mitigation. We look at development controls, rules and regs, look at ongoing drainage system maintenance, look at your protected open space and wetland areas in terms of floodwater storage, best management practices in terms of street sweeping, cleaning, basin cleaning, that and the like, and then of course infrastructure repair and replacement, ongoing and updating there. Looking at example of existing mitigation measures, what you guys have got on your books already, tree trimming program that's ongoing with the city and what used to be National Grid, winter-related standard snow removal, multi-hazard stuff. We do multi-department review of hazards reviews, obviously your CEMP, which is your emergency response plans, and we all deal with the state building code in Massachusetts. So going on to the next page, you'll see some of the projects that were listed as high priority, and then the next box is medium priority, looking at completion of phase 1 of the flood mitigation plan the city put together several years back, increasing stormwater storage upstream, Cedar and Flume Ponds, Scouting Way and Raymond Circle, completion of your hazardous materials handling plan, and radio console and closed circuit TV for Peabody Light. And then some of the more, those are some of the higher priority pieces. The medium priority pieces we looked at, the city, and these are chosen by city staff. More frequent maintenance of city-owned drainage infrastructure, and then ice and snow equipment, always a popular item, ongoing. So if you drop down to the last box, we've really marched down. We've done all of the reviews. We're at the final approval stage, where basically the MEMA and FEMA asked the city to sign off on this. It's important to remember that none of the items listed within the plan are binding upon the city. This is really just an acknowledgement that the plan has been completed. No one's going to come after you, the FEMA or MEMA, and say, you know, did you do this item in the plan in order to be eligible? This is really just a documentation showing the state and federal folks that the city is on the ball with what they're doing in terms of natural hazard mitigation, and that you're prepared to, this allows you to apply for those large uncapped grants. And the city has done that previously. They're not easy, but it's much easier when you've got good staff like Peabody does in order to be able to apply for these things and win them. So that's really about it. I'd be happy to take any questions, and if I can answer anything.
Councilor Manning Martin.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Cleaves. I just have one, one question. This is a 2015 review of the 2005 plan?
Yes, that's right, Councilor. The beginning of the review, the 2005 plan expired in roughly 2010. There was a lot of turnover in FEMA and MEMA at the time. There was an exceptionally long review period. I won't bore you with the details, but I will say that this plan is good from that. If you adopt the plan this evening, your clock on the 5 years starts ticking as of tonight. That's the important date to remember.
Okay, great. So this is every 5 years. I
Exactly.
noticed the long stretch and the gap, so I'm pleased that it was our staff are on the ball and that it was more bureaucratic red tape elsewhere. That
I can't begin to tell you, but
okay,
your staff is
that's
fine.
a long time. So okay, so then we'll be due again in 2020.
Correct.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much.
Other councilors? I have a couple of questions. So this is updated for 2015. I heard your answer to Councilor Manning Martin. I see that, like in the listing of snow events, the last one listed here, or I'm sorry, flooding events, the last one listed here is 2010. You know, so we had 2 flooding events in 2014. I'm just wondering what, it doesn't seem like we're picking up everything that has actually happened here, and then
Are you looking at the plan itself?
I am looking at the plan itself, yeah. I'm looking at, because I'm the individual from the council that needs to sign this, I took a look at it,
Right.
and, you know, it lists significant snow events. Last year was a milestone snow year, and there's no mention of it in the document, so.
That's true. We generally go by what's listed in the state hazard mitigation plan as significant, so we wouldn't necessarily knock it down on that particular table, but we do try and record most of the local flooding events as they happen and where they happen. So if every flood event isn't there, I would say that the review period has been rather long on this, and we understand that what happens is when we get it, we put it up to MEMA, who reviews it and then sends it up to FEMA. And actually, what step before that, if MEMA doesn't like it, they'll send it back to us. We will then kick it back to MEMA, who then kicks it upstairs to FEMA. And if they don't like it, it comes back to MEMA, so that comes back down to us. So I would ask you for your forbearance if we didn't get every flood event since 2010 in there. When we wrote the plan in 11 and 12, we went through it as best as we could to get up to the time that we had written. I was originally before the council here in 2011 for a review of this plan. And that's when we passed it on the first time to MEMA. And you can see it's taken a long time to get this plan back here in action, so.
Okay, so last year's significant record events don't make it because they happened after the kind of the review period. Is that?
If we had, it was probably in review. The plan was probably sitting on someone's desk waiting to be reviewed. And if we took it back and started the review process all over again, it would be probably another 2 years before we came back and might have missed another significant storm event. I do apologize, but it's
The reason for the question is, and it's not so much on the snow, because that obviously impacted all of eastern Massachusetts, but flooding is a big issue here in PVD, of course, and you know, I don't want a report that understates the problem. I mean, we had 2 events in 2014 that aren't in here, one of which caused road closures for several days, and you know, if we're going for funding, if this is a tool that we will use to substantiate our needs, I want it to be as you know, tell the full story of the need.
I do want to stress that you have, this is an update, and there is a full record in the original plan of going back. This program started in 2005, so I think we all remember the big Mother's Day flood in 2006. So the documentation for this plan process started right around 2005, 2006. And has proceeded onward. When you do make, if the city chooses to make an application for a grant, all of that information, this is sort of a beginning, a boilerplate, so to speak, that you begin from, and then you update with new information as needed for the project application itself. So I'm sure that there's documentation within the city. I know that there's documentation within the press to back that up for any application, and Lord knows the Peabody Square piece is well documented over time, so I don't think it should be any problem at all.
Thank you, Mr. Cleaves. Mr. Mayor, would you mind stepping up for just a second? One of the slides in the presentation identifies the first bullet of our high priority is Phase 1 flood mitigation plan, and of course, we're not pursuing that at this stage. So I know that you've been an advocate, and I agree with you on many of the upstream retention activities that have been largely successful thus far. So in lieu of what's identified in this report as our highest priority, could you just spend a moment kind of explaining the direction you'd like to see us go in terms of additional upstream storage and other measures that we are truly going to prioritize?
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor. And having seen the success of the Scouting Way project, which is, I think, provided us a tremendous amount of ability to handle a lot of the flooding issues that we've had. As you know, we have three streams that converge right in downtown. And the largest one is the one that comes down from Centennial Park. Putting that Scouting Way retention basin at the base of the hill has provided us, as I said, tremendous resource in order to hold that water back that typically flows downtown. What we're looking at now, and we were able to obtain a $100,000 grant, Senator Lovely, our state representatives, to utilize for further flood mitigation efforts and studies. What I would like to propose, or what I'm moving forward with, is to do a study of the area over near our golf course and near the Welch School. That is another stream that flows down, eventually connects to Foster Street, and then connects over near Metro Bowl, and has been a source of a lot of the problems we've had as well. Want to look at opportunities for retention basins, probably not nearly the size that we have over at Scouting Way, but I think there's potential opportunities there to put another retention basin that can assist with our flood mitigation efforts to, again, hold back a lot of the water that flows down to our downtown. So that's what I'm moving forward on right now in terms of that $100,000. It does have to be approved. That use has to be approved to utilize that grant money. But that's what we're moving forward now and preparing the papers for, and I think that could potentially be an excellent project for us. Continue those efforts at upstream retention that I think have been successful and can be further successful for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You had also mentioned at a prior meeting when we were on this topic, you were exploring some drainage work, infrastructure work on Foster Street. I know there was a significant repair done there after one of the last events where the street kind of caved in, and I think that had caused us to identify another area of possible improvement, and there was another one on Walnut Street. So if you could just quickly comment on that for the benefit of the council.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, those are the two areas, and also I envision utilizing this money for those studies as well. Two areas in particular, right near Metro Bowl, there's been some, our records show that the piping is not consistent in that we have piping that goes from 4 feet to 6 feet, back to 4 feet to 8 feet, and we need to do a more comprehensive study to maybe implement a more uniform and consistent size for the piping all the way through. So that's the one area we're looking at, right over near Metro Bowl, DNR Market, which everybody knows has been, if not the first area to flood, it's one of the first areas to flood. The other is over near Century Tire at Walnut Street, over near New England Meat Market, another area that typically that actually is the first area to flood. We're also looking at some, or we're going to be looking at some areas to try to mitigate some of the issues there as well. So to me, those would be the three areas that I'd like to do some further study. The potential retention pond area over near the Welch School at the golf course, doing an investigatory study of the piping near DNR Market, near Metro Bowl, and then also in Walnut Street over near Century Tire. Those would be the three areas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any further questions from the council? Thank you, Mr. Cleaves. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, councilors, our action here is to adopt this plan, and
So
we have,
moved.
item 7H. There's some specific language that we need in the motion. Councilor Manning Martin, if you have 7H there, if you could just flip to the second page.
How about we move to adopt, dispense with the reading as presented? Be quicker.
That it would be. I think we need it on the record, however. I'm going to have the clerk read it real quickly.
Whereas the City of Peabody established a committee to prepare the City of Peabody Hazard Mitigation Plan 2015 update, and whereas the City of Peabody Hazard Mitigation Plan 2015 update contains several potential future projects to mitigate potential impacts from natural hazards in the City of Peabody, and whereas duly noticed public meetings were held by the Planning Board on June 2nd, 2011, and by the City Council on June 9th, 2011, and whereas the City of Peabody authorizes responsible departments and/or agencies to execute their responsibilities demonstrated in the plan, and now therefore be it resolved that the City of Peabody City Council adopts the City of Peabody Hazard Mitigation Plan 2015 update in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 4, or the Charter and bylaws of the City of Peabody.
Better you than me, Tim.
Thank you. And we have that motion from Councilor Manning Martin. Roll call.
Councilors Walsh,
Yes.
Manning Martin,
Yes.
Charis,
Yes.
Sasla,
Yes.
Turco,
Yes.
Gravel,
Yes.
Garabedian, Gould, McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0, 2 absent.
Councilors, that takes us to item 8D. Councilor Charist.
Motion to receive and refer to legal affairs.
That's, that's to a hearing, right? So the motion is to receive and grant the continuance? That's what they're requesting.
Yes.
All right, councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Item 8E.
Motion to
Turco.
receive.
Councilor to receive, motion to receive and approve. You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Item 8F. Councilor Manning Martin.
Motion to receive.
Councilor, on your motion, I just want to make sure, was this fully responsive to your inquiry? This is on the solar projects?
I think so, and the remaining questions that I have that haven't been answered, I spoke to both the mayor and Commissioner Paris was also very helpful. And so most of my questions have been asked and answered, and the remaining ones can be fleshed out at public hearing. So yes, the long answer, the short answer to your question is yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin. So the motion is to receive and refer to the public hearing, which is on March 31st, correct? Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Item 9A, Councilor Gravel.
Move to receive and approve, subject to all papers being in order.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Item 9B, Councilor Gravel.
Move to receive and approve, subject to all papers being in order.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You heard the motion. We are adjourned.